What's up, everybody? Welcome into another Big Men on Campus college basketball preview video. Today, we're taking a look at another college conference as we head in to his new season, 2019-2020 season, coming at you in just about 6 days. Today, it's time to take a look at the Big East, arguably the most competitive conference, top to bottom, in the country. There are 4 or 5 teams like the ACC that can win this conference, and what a loaded group it is. We start obviously with the winner last year, Villanova, who, look, comes into the season, a lot of question marks. I felt like last year this team was kind of a disappointment. I like some of the guys they brought in. They ended up grinding it out, played pretty well, but definitely weren't the team that we kind of know them to be. They played a slow tempo last year. They're grinding out games. This is kind of a question mark on this team coming into this year. Who's your proven player here? You look at really everybody coming back. I mean, you get some guys that are back, Colin Gillespie, Sadiq Bey, Jermaine Samuels, but most of this roster is pretty unproven. They're going to lead a lot on Brian Antoine, a guy that they're really high on, fifth five-star recruit coming in. They have a lot of guys, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Eric Dixon. They have a lot of guys coming in that are pretty unproven. You're going to basically be jumping on the shoulders of guys that are really we've not seen or heard from in college basketball. It's going to be definitely a big-time coaching angle for Jay Wright this year. He's going to have to do a lot to get this team back to prominence again. It's not a down year, but it's definitely going to be a wait-and-see approach. And that's why, for me, it's hard to take Villanova. I know a lot of people always want to anoint them, but there's always been guys, there's always been an Eric Paschal or a Phil Booth or a Scotty Reynolds or a Mike Nardi. They don't necessarily have that. In fact, you look at this regular rotation, not one senior in this rotation. So definitely some real question marks on that level. In fact, they don't have a senior on this team. Gillespie and Jermaine Samuels are juniors, but that's it. For me, it's hard to pick them as the best team in this conference. They'll be up there, but I'm not going to pick them. My winner in this conference, and look, if you've heard me talk, you're probably getting sick of hearing it, but look, I like Xavier. I like Xavier a lot. You look at this core coming back, Scruggs, Gooden, Marshall, Tyreek Jones. There's just something great about continuity. It's that simple. And towards the end of the season, I think is what Xavier really can be. They dealt with some injuries last year. Najee Marshall was out for a period of time, and they didn't really have much of a bench, but I really like what they did in the offseason. They brought all those guys back for really one of these last runs as a group to make. They bring in a guy in Jason Carter out of Ohio that really is just going to give them a nice scoring punch at that 4 position. Good rebounder, can get other teammates involved. It's as good a starting 5 as you'll find. You look at on the bench, they bring Bryce Moore over from Western Michigan, a guy that can regularly give you 8 to 12 points a game. Kai Tandy, a 6'1 water bug guard, I love, a freshman. This team's just, if they can bring back the defensive intensity they had late in the season, they're going to be a problem because it's hard to find a contoured continuity type of roster like this. It's really impressive. And it looks like the stock on Travis Steele is starting to go back up. I'm excited about Xavier. Really am. I think they're one of those teams that we really have to look at from a long perspective of, can this team go make a run? We've seen them do it in the tournament before. They finished 8-3 over the last 11 games last year. Nice core, good bench. I like Xavier in the Big East. It's that simple. Other teams, obviously Marquette. You look at how they're going to play basketball this year. They bring in another big and Jace Johnson out of Utah, which is nice. Addition. They figured it out last year defensively. They have one of the best players in the country in Marcus Howard. It was really just surrounding him with a bunch of weapons. They'll be right up in the top 3 or 4. Look at Creighton. Creighton's an interesting team because they're really guard-oriented. That's all they really have. And that's what they're going to kind of surround this lineup with. You're going to put one center in and basically surround him with 4 guards. Which is an interesting way to play. But Greg McDermott always has really good guards and wings. That's one thing he's always been able to do. They're always deep. And Tyshawn Alexander is really good. They'll be in the top 5 as well. Watch out for Providence. They're probably my sleeper team. talk about an anemic offense last year. It definitely was. And they ended up missing out on the tournament because of it. They needed to go out and find a scorer. They needed to go out and find someone that could score and get to the hoop and create offense and get others involved. And I think Luwan Pipkins is going to be able to do that. They bring him in from UMass. What a help he's going to be to this team. I mean, you surround him with Nate Watson, Diallo, AJ Reeves, all these guys. Just he's the guy that you kind of surround, and everybody else plays better because of it. They needed to find a way to score. Their defense is among the best in the conference. It was Cadet Cooley find a way to score. I think they found it. I think they're a sleeper as well. I'm looking at Providence and saying, well, we've seen them make runs in the tournament before. Diallo's terrific. He just needed a running mate, and he's got it now. Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas are interesting. You bring in Omar Yurtseven, who I think is an upgrade over Jesse Govan as far as defensively. He can give you a little bit on the offensive end. It's just, can James Akinjo and Mac McClung defend at the high level? We know they can score. We know Georgetown can score. Question for this team is always going to be defensively. I think it's a down year for Butler. I think Lavelle Jordan's got a real quandary on his hands. I didn't understand that hire to begin with. To go from Chris Holtman to him just didn't make a lot of sense. I think for me, DePaul, Butler, and St. John's will kind of battle it out in the bottom tier. One team we didn't talk about is the Seton Hall Pirates, and we didn't talk about them for a reason. Look, I love Miles Powell. I think he's arguably the best scorer in the country, and he is as good as it gets, but I'm just not a big Kevin Willard fan. Can this team do some good things in the Big East? Sure they can, but they never do anything in the tournament, and I'm not going to expect them to do anything this year. It's just that simple. They're interesting. They're exciting. They have one of the best players in the country who's an All-American, but outside of that, I just don't see much in this team that really worries me. And again, we've seen better teams in Seton Hall is this year in the past, and they've fallen flat in their face when it came time to win. For me, my winner, Big East, it's got to be Xavier. My sleeper, I'll go Providence. I'll also throw out Creighton. I think this four-guard lineup is going to be incredibly tough. I think it's going to be incredibly interesting, and they're a deep team. So look out for the Blue Jays as well. I'm the Big Man on Campus. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. Make sure you check out all my videos as we continue to get closer and closer to the college basketball season. I'm the Big Man on Campus. We'll see you next time.